Hi everyone, welcome back to the podcast. If you're a new listener, welcome. Thanks for finding us. If you're a veteran, thanks for coming back. Today we're going to talk about when do you advance to the next level in personal protection work. That's today's topic.
And the succession.
Succession, which is really important.
Yeah. So when you train protection, you gotta have a plan, right? First of all, you gotta decide what kind of protection you want to do. You want to do law enforcement, you want to do sport, you want to do personal protection. Those are the basic ones. You have area protection too. And you gotta have that plan based, and the training system is then based on where you're going with it. Mm-hmm. A lot of times people just train, I see it a lot, haphazardly. Even so, like when I was going to Shooting Club, you're supposed to have a training director who will tell you, now you need to train this, now you need to train that. And if you don't have a training director, then you don't really know what should be the next step, mm-hmm. right? So first of all, you need to know the steps, how they progress, and those are in my videos. So
the 4-part videos.
The 4-part videos on the protection training, and but then when do you advance from that one step to the next step? Mm-hmm. And I'm talking to some people. I teach them to train over the internet. Mm-hmm. They send me videos and I mm-hmm. look at it.
Kind of one-on-one coaching.
Yeah, and they bought my video system mm-hmm. and the bundle, and they and this girl, she says just recently she said to me, "Well, do you think he's ready to go to the next step?" Mm-hmm. Right? And I can tell you, right? I can say, okay, I see it, and okay, you probably should you can go to the next step.
Yeah.
Right, there is this thing with that stick, you come first, use one swing and then 3 swings and then one swing and a hit and 3 swings and third one hit and 3 hits. Yeah. And it goes up and up and then you incorporate bites and all that. It's all explained in that video.
Yeah.
But when do you go from that one step to the higher step? People tend to rush it, mm-hmm. right? Like, for example, even like law enforcement, they do day 1, chapter 1, day 2, chapter 2, and so chapter of the manual.
Yeah.
And you cannot do it that way. I mean, the dog who doesn't hack it in law enforcement gets canned, right? Because they don't have time to screw around. I understand that. But I do and I don't, right? Yeah. Because a lot of times you can the dogs, which could be excellent dogs, right? But they have, they deal with legality, and if, let's say, the dog fails sometimes, then defense lawyer is gonna grab to it, and how comes this dog didn't work exactly by the manual, improvised and whatever, and you lose the case. And that's unfortunately which is ruling a lot of training for law enforcement these days. And I have to say, like, I have a guy I talked to in Czechoslovakia, Czech Republic, who is a cop, and he trains. And over there it's different. They just give you a dog and you train the dog. Mm-hmm. They don't have a manual. Yeah. You may work with somebody who knows what to do and not to do. You may have a trainer. But like this guy, for example, his father was a K9 cop in Czech. And now he is K9 cop, and he knows dogs inside out. He does sport and all that. So he doesn't need anybody to tell him anything. So he just trained the dog himself. Yeah. Right? And if the dog needs a little bit more work here or there, he just applies it. He knows, and he applies it the way it is. And here in the United States, it's not like that. Here in the United States, you got trained by the manual, and if you don't, they call it training out of the manual. And if you do some additional training or extra training for law enforcement, some of the jurisdiction, some of the agencies will take the dog away from you, or even take the dog out of the program if you didn't train him exactly by the manual for the legal purposes. Not that you did anything wrong training-wise, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, how can what does a lawyer know about dog training, right?
Well, the defense lawyer who is going to rip you apart does.
Yeah,
He knows enough for that, right?
Well,
and he doesn't need to know anything about dog training. All he has to point out the dog was not trained by the manual.
Well, I'm saying,
And that's
who
it.
wrote the manual?
A lawyer with a trainer
That's my
together,
point.
usually, I think.
Well,
you know?
I mean,
yeah.
not
yeah.
rocket
And I read
science,
the
it's-
manuals; they're not bad. It's just the I personally, and I'm going to the topic. I personally like to give the dog chance.
yeah.
Right? And people say, well, if he doesn't do it right away or whatever, that's mean he's not a good dog. No, that doesn't mean he's not a good dog.
Yeah.
You know,
The training has
Albert Einstein was failing mathematics when he was in grammar school. So
Point. There you go.
there's my
The
point,
show is
right?
going to end right here.
Right.
See you, everybody.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
You know, so you just, you know, or Teddy Roosevelt, you know, he had, what do you call it? He kind of emphysema.
Emphysema. Yep.
Yeah. He had emphysema and he become, you know, wilderness guy hiking and all that stuff, you know,
Yeah.
and tough guy, you know, he just made himself, so he trained it into it, you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I found out the dogs who are failing at first actually turn up to be much better than the dog who flies through it with flying colors, right? Because, you know, you have to spend more time with the dog and communicate and all that and build the dog's drive and all that.
Confidence and all that stuff. This is off topic, but like Seinfeld, the show Seinfeld, which I'm sure many of you
Everybody.
watched. But that show, if you watch the first season and even the second season, they were going to cancel the show. I mean, today it would be canceled. And look what happened. So I'm sorry, go off topic, but it's
you gotta give it a chance.
Yeah, you gotta give it a chance.
Yeah. So now you have a dog, and let's say you are at one swing, right, at the dog in my system, which is not the first lesson, but let's say it's like a third step or whatever, right? So you swing the tube on the dog with a stick, and when do you do swing with hit? And I want to say that tube is paperweight. It's not gonna hurt the dog, you fur mommies, right? And fur baby mommies, I should say. Don't.
Yeah, don't even.
So the point is, when do you advance to the higher level? From one swing to three swings, without even hitting the dog. Right? One swing, and then three swings. And when do you start when you are 15 feet away, and when do you advance to 10 feet?
Yeah.
And 5 feet. When do you make that step closer?
It's like asking an artist, like, when do you put a little bit more color into that mixture? Like, how much more red do you put in? Right? It's not the easiest thing sometimes to answer.
Right.
That's where your experience obviously.
And so I always say, simple rule, which is not that simple to follow, but simple rule is, if you are not 100% sure in your gut that the dog can do it, don't do it. Don't advance, right? Because if you advance too soon and it's a screw up, then you develop bad default. Because each level, you got to understand about default, each level has its own little default, right? So if I go and come at the dog with a stick a little bit too soon, then he will be scared of stick for the rest of his life, right? So you have to make sure he can hack it. He can and if you're I don't know, I'm just like I'm doing it a long time, so I can. It's gut feeling for me. I can look at the dog. I say, he can do it. Right. And some dogs sooner than the others.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna be standing behind you telling you always do it. You need to learn to do this yourself. When to advance the dog. You got to advance the dog to when you're like 100% sure that the dog can handle that level. And if you think that level, he cannot handle that level, maybe you need to do it from further away. Let's say gunfire, right? So you can click gun, empty gun, click, click, right? And then you put a little capsule in it, click, click, and you're standing 100 feet away and 50 feet and all that. And you keep coming closer and closer, and dog is used to it, right? So by small increments, you are watching the dog, and if I increase just a bit, the dog is having no problem with it. Or you can start seeing the dog is kind of like, back off right there, at least 1 or 2 squares. For example, in obedience, this applies too, right? Let's say I tell the dog to stay, and I step in front of it, right? So if I say Buster, stay, right? Hand signal, and step in front of the dog, and I'm in front of him, right? And now I back up 1 step back. And I know that if I'm standing with him toe to toe, and then I make 1 step back, he can take 1 step back, and then I come back, right? I'm talking increasing distance on stay, right? And then I keep doing it for a while until he's comfortable me stepping 1 step. No big deal. So I step 2 steps, right? Next time. So I say stay, step in front of him, 2 steps back, right? And then go back. And usually a dog who can handle 1 step can handle 2 steps, right? And I just know in my gut that he can do it, right? So what's interesting in this particular case in obedience is that I realized that the distance, increasing the distance, is best to do by following Fibonacci number. Have you been in that class when I talked about?
Yep.
What are Fibonacci numbers? Fibonacci number is a number which is addition of the previous 2 numbers, right? So let's say first number is 0, right? And then I do 1. So let's say I'm standing toe to toe, that's 0, and then I do 1. I'll have 2 numbers, 0 and 1. So 0 plus 1 is 1. So I do another 1. And then I have 2 ones, right? So 1 plus 1 is 2, right? So now I can add 2, right? So I say stay and step in front of the dog 1 foot, and then add 2 feet, so I'm 3 feet, right? So now I have a 2 plus 1, right? So I have 3. And then I have 3 plus 2, I have 5. And then I have, and it keeps, and then I have 3 plus 5, I have 8, right? I think that's how it goes. And you can look at numbers up like that. You Google Fibonacci number, it gives you all of them. They go into infinity, right? And by Fibonacci numbers, not everything, but a lot of things are governed by this Fibonacci increase. People trade stocks through Fibonacci numbers, right?
Well, it's in art too,
In art?
Design and everything,
So you can add these distances. Like for example, you have the nautilus, that big snail, right? So if you would draw cross-section line over the spiral, those distances go in Fibonacci increase, right? Which is amazing, Or flowers, the petal. You look at the crown of the flowers and all that. It's amazing, It almost makes you believe in God because somebody had to design.
Well, it doesn't come from nothing. I mean, chances of things falling into exact
every time. So I try to use these Fibonacci number in some obedience exercises, and you can you can apply it in obedience to the distance, right? So increase 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. What is it? 12? No, 13, right?
You can do it with time too, right? Yeah.
Hey, you took it from my.
did I?
I was just gonna say that,
Sorry.
right? That's where I'm heading, right?
Sorry.
And then you can say how long you're gonna stay. So you gotta stay 1 second, 2 seconds,
Yes, we can do it.
you know,
Yeah.
3 seconds, 5 seconds, 8 seconds, and so on. You know, you
I
can.
learned a few things from Hans. I knew what he was going to say. I didn't know what. I was guessing, but I didn't want to
Yeah,
jump
you're
in.
stealing
But he's
Peter out of my sails.
He pounded us into our head.
Yeah, you stealing wind out of my sails.
That's right.
Also, you know, so all these increments, you know, you can do by Fibonacci number. I always say you double it, I used to say. But it's getting a little bit too fast. The Fibonacci numbers go a little slower. Yeah. Yeah. You know, and well, you can double it, you know, but it grows really fast, you know, if you double it. So it may get over the dog's ability to deal with it.
Yeah. So
You know the doubling.
the story, is it the chest thing?
Yeah, how do you know, man? You know everything.
Why?
Am I so easy to read?
No, I remember these things.
Yeah, the chest, you know.
The chest, yeah. Sorry. Okay, guys, that's it. I ruined the show.
Twice, right?
Twice.
Yeah, in chess, it's an interesting story. It has not much to do with dog training, but since we touched on it, you know, the Shah of Persia was really bored. And so he got all these artists doing somersaults and showing him magic tricks and all that, and he got tired of it. Nothing excited him anymore. So he said he will fulfill any wish of anybody who can entertain him. Wow, thousands of people came and it was all boring to him, right? So he just chased them away and says, okay, I will give them, whoever entertains me, I will give them whatever they want. I will fulfill any of their wish. But if they don't entertain me, I'll chop their head off.
Okay.
Right? So nobody showed up after that. You know?
It's a good incentive.
Except this, and after a few years, this one guy came and he says, "Is it still, you know, valid, the offer?" And he says, "Yeah, sure, but you know, if you don't entertain me, you get your head chopped off." I said, "That's okay."
It's okay.
So he showed him game of chess, right? Yeah. And you have 64 fields, right, in there in the chessboard, and the Shah of Persia, you know, he was totally entertained by that. He says he will never be bored with that. And people who know how to play chess will agree with that. Yeah. You never get bored with chess. It's impossible, right?
Endless combination.
Right. And so he says, okay, well, I'll do for you whatever you want. And so this guy, he want to teach him a lesson, right? The Shah. Yeah. And he told him, okay, we have 64 fields on a chessboard. So I want you to take a seed of wheat and on one first board put one seed. On another one 2, on another one 4, on another one 8. Always double the amount of seeds on next square. And the king says, the king of Persia said, oh, that's easy. He says, okay, please do that. Mm-hmm. And he couldn't do it, right? Because somebody calculated it came up to like 3 meters of seeds covering whole Earth, you know, including poles and stuff, oceans. Yeah. So it's just not possible. So he taught him to be also humble a little bit. Yeah. He cannot do everything. Yeah. He cannot even put doubles of seats on a chessboard. Yeah, it's an interesting story. I like that story. There was a little boy. My father told me that. Yeah. Yeah. You know, but anyway, increments, right? Yeah. So always increment. And so when you are incrementing it, you know, so you want to step to the higher level, let's say, you know, one swing on the dog from 10 feet or 15 feet, and now you want to go a little closer, you know, let's say half distance. So, you know, let's call it, you know, 7 and 8 feet, right? Whatever. And you push the lock, right? You screwed up. Yeah. And you can, you know, and the point is not to push it too far so you really don't scare crap out of the dog, right? Yeah. So you just, but you see a little apprehension, back off, right there. Go to the step where you were before, or even one step more back. Go 2 step backs and start all over again. The dog should be absolutely unencumbered or in reaction to that step on the first session. If you see the dog is not 100%, let's say what I want to see, if I swing a stick, I want the dog, whatever, right? Like, no big deal, right? That's what I want to see. If the dog, don't try to work on it. Don't try to fix it. Go back.
Yeah. You're not hurting anything by going
because
back.
if you're not hurting anything when you're going back. When you're pushing it a little bit too fast, and the dog starts seeing little apprehensions, by you trying to fix that apprehension, you actually are making the apprehension worse. And that's really important.
I guess.
I don't know if it's sinking in, but it makes the apprehension worse because the apprehension is there, and you keep repeating the same shit, hoping that the dog is gonna get used to it.
Yeah.
But what is he gonna get used to it? To that he's scared of it? He's not gonna get used to it. So you actually are messing up the dog. A lot of dogs' protection training was ruined by advancing too fast.
Yeah. If you enjoyed this content so far, please subscribe to our channel. Also, Hans has a podcast channel called Dog Training for Life. Check that out so you can listen to the audio version.
So you were going to say something?
No.
Sorry.
Well, no. Not just. So so the big thing, if anything, to take away from this episode, this is it right here. What you just said.
And if in doubt, hey, stay in that level where you are comfortable and dog is comfortable. Wait there for a while. Another thing is, when you advance to a certain level, and dog negotiates it fast, rather way, it should. Yeah. That's the idea. He should have no problem with it. Yeah. That doesn't mean that you are clear to advance to next level. Yeah. You gotta stay on that level where the dog is comfortable until he gets almost bored with it. That's waving stick, whatever, right? So you gotta condition the dog, and you gotta take, I would say, at least 10 sessions on that level. Yeah. Right? Now some dogs can take only 5 sessions, but I would say it's 10 to be safe. Stay 10 sessions on that level where the dog is comfortable before you start even thinking to advance to the next level.
People push it way too fast.
And level, I mean increasing difficulty in scenario and in time.
Yeah. It's not funny, funny, but and I'm not going to say his name, but big time dog trainer, when he chimed in, in the group, there was a discussion, Hans and him, and he talked about, we kind of briefly said, well, if you push too hard, but they never talk about this. You have to know what you're doing. They never said, if you know what you're doing, it could be done. The defense, I'm talking defense, the defense work. But he never said, this is how it's done. He just moseyed over it. If you push the dog, you can ruin the dog. Well, he didn't say...
Well, don't ruin him then.
That's what I'm saying. He didn't say, but if you do it right, he didn't say it.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, people say, in defense you can ruin the dog. Yeah, it's much harder to ruin the dog in prey. That's true.
But this person was super knowledgeable. He didn't say, but by the way, if you do it right this way, this is the best way to do it. But I think he couldn't explain it. Maybe.
No, a lot of times people looking for argument against what I'm teaching or whatever they don't teach. Yeah. And they have this confirmational bias, They will say, well, you can ruin the dog with doing it. That's sure. I can ruin the dog with all sorts of ways. Yeah. That doesn't mean I'm going to do it. Yeah. But that's true. That's right there where you go in that little step up. And you stay on that step for a while, and then you go another step up and stay on that. And when you make that step up, I would say a rule of thumb would be stay on it at least 8 or 10 sessions, and then if you have a good gut feeling, do that step up and see what happens. Yeah. And if you really are worried about it, don't make that step too radical. In other words, you want to go from 1 swing to 3 swings of the stick on the dog. Wow, and dog like whoa, right? So when you start with that 1 swing And now the dog is comfortable, you can swing the stick right
Yeah.
above his head and he doesn't
Yeah.
care,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So now when I do 3 swings, I start those 3 swings way back.
Yeah.
If I'm not sure you can handle it, hey, I go 100 feet, I swing the swing, I'm 100 feet out there swinging stick.
Yeah.
And then by Fibonacci again going backwards, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the Fibonacci you can do both ways, right?
Yeah.
You know, so make sure. Why it's so important is you want to make sure that when you up the ante of
Yeah.
the training, put more pressure on the dog, that you don't overdo it.
Yeah.
You know, because once you overdo it, you are setting up default. Now, default could be good or bad.
Yeah.
So default is what you do first. Well, first we do 1 swing, and now the first we do 3 swings. That's the first time you ever done it, right?
Yeah.
So if the dog you get him scared of 3 swings, well, he's gonna be scared of 3 swings probably for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Or he's gonna have that apprehension there somewhere in the back of his mind.
Yeah.
You know? So try to avoid that. Don't push it. If you have to ask me if you can go forward, then the answer is no. Because if you ask me, don't ask me. You need to figure it out.
Like
If
that.
you feel comfortable, it's your dog,
Yeah.
right? Now you can ask me.
Yeah, but it's an analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if you're unsure, in other words, that's what I'm saying. You're asking me, you're being unsure.
Yeah.
So if you're unsure about if you should or not, well, the answer is no. Just stay until you're sure.
You're not gonna.
And even then, you may be wrong,
Yeah.
right?
You're not hurting the dog by not pushing.
Right.
But the other way you can.
Right,
You can.
right,
That's a
right.
problem. Yeah. So,
Right. And again, going back to Fibonacci, at first, you make that step up, little tiny one,
yeah.
right? And the next one would be 1 again, and then
3.
next one would be 2, right? And then it would be 3. So you can increase the intensity too,
Yeah.
further you go,
Yeah.
right?
So it works.
Eventually, you can come at the dog like a gangbusters and completely unencumbered, strange location, strange decoy, civil decoy coming at the dog, you know, and screaming like a Banjian dog, you know, because in Fibonacci numbers, you work yourself all the way up to that high intensity.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta assign imaginary level, you know, to the intensity, you know. So it all goes by these Fibonacci numbers, you know, and by the intensity and gut feeling, and take your time. Don't rush it. Don't train by the manual.
Yeah. No.
Anyway, I hope it makes sense.
No, it did. No, this was great. I mean, it's a deep topic. So, but I think right there, just don't push the dog. You're not gonna damage. But the other way, you can.
Yeah, there's that book, 1-page book, right?
Yeah, Hans's 1-page book.
How fast should you progress with your dog's training? And you open up the book, and it says, not so hard that you fuck him up.
This thick, but it's like one sentence in there.
Should have a whole library of books like that.
Yeah, well, thank you, Hans, for sharing your knowledge on this topic today. If you want to learn about how to build a personal protection dog,
Or the obedient.
or the obedience, but I'll get to that. So now you're.
Well, you see.
He's got a 4-part video series at Alpine K9 Reel. So alpinek9reel.com, and there are 4 sets of videos. If you don't have the money to buy all 4, make sure you buy it in order. Just get the first one, and then when you have money, then get the second. Don't jump around like.
But if you buy a bundle, you save a bunch of money.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, and then Hans also gives you support with that.
Yeah, you can send me videos of your training if you buy the system.
Yeah, the system. Yeah.
And I'll help you out, comment. I do it all. all
Yeah.
like these people.
It's a great value. Also, he does one-on-one consultation too. It's on the website, right on the homepage there. 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour increments. You can get it from Hans, and he'll help you via video and phone conversations.
Yeah, or if the dog has some behavior problem, is growling at your child or pissing on a couch.
Yeah, or any type of issue.
Or search and rescue problems,
Personal
or police
protection. Yep.
work problem, anything. Not just behavior problem, but you get stuck in training on something and stuff like that.
Yeah, so he'll help you with that. Also, the obedience video, the 10 commands, out of drive commands, the how to feed puppies raw, art of war. There's a whole bunch of.
Well, go there and look.
Yeah, check it out. Yeah, there's a great set of videos on there, and they're just they're great, and you'll learn so much from them. So
yeah,
that's my spiel. Oh, wait a minute! If you want to buy puppies or
we want. I forgot that.
that is a big one.
Little detail.
Little detail.
Tiny.
If you want to buy puppies or
trained dogs.
Yeah, Hans is your man. So, and that's the text coming in. That means the show is ending. All right, guys.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ahoy.